How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be doing a Slenderman creepypasta. Everyone knows Slenderman. He's probably the second most well-known creature of all creepypastas. I'm pretty sure he was the first to get a Party City Halloween costume. I don't think I was ever really scared of him. He seemed to be pretty okay with children from the pictures that existed of him, and he honestly seemed like a pretty chill dude with the suit and tie. I also used to have this flip note on my DSi of, I think, Smosh playing Slenderman, and I thought it was hilarious.
Did I see something? No, go away from that. What? I thought I saw something.
I didn't see anything. I was getting Morse code.
Slenderman, come rescue us! We're trapped!
Oh my god!
With countless stories written about him, I wasn't sure which one to read, but I ultimately decided on this one from creepypasta.com. I'll have a link to it in the description down below. With that out of the way, let's get right into Slenderman. After waking up with a jolt, the girl laid in bed a few seconds longer. Reaching over to switch on her bedside lamp, she tried to remember exactly what had stolen her sweet slumber away. When she couldn't, the brunette swung her legs over the side of the bed and heaved herself up. Checking the time on her phone, she snorted when she saw it was midnight, the witching hour. Knowing that sleep would only evade her, she left her bedroom for the kitchen, a good cup of coffee on her mind. As she passed by her front door, a chill spread like liquid fire down her spine. It's only winter, she told herself, focusing again on the coffee plan. Measuring out scoops, water, and preparing her cup kept her occupied, but as the dark liquid boiled, she had nothing to keep her mind from wandering off. The chill returned, and she couldn't help but glance behind her at the front door. It stood there, innocently enough, just like always. The deadbolt was still in its place, and she could see nothing amiss with it. Turning back to her coffee, she did her best to forget about the feeling. With the cup in her hand, she started back up towards her room. As she walked by the front door, she decided that a quick glance out of the peephole would help her rest her mind. The chill worsened each step she took towards the door and further away from the safety and warmth of her blankets. She pressed her empty hand against the cold metal door and took a deep breath before leading her eye into the peephole. At first, she could only see an inky blackness and somehow seemed to swirl in itself. When she blinked in surprise, the void melted away. She wished it hadn't. In its place, there stood what she could only guess was a man. The limbs were long and inhumanely awkward, with bulky joints branching off into several arms, not unlike the branches of a tree. The creature was draped in a black suit, somehow making the thing more nightmarish to her. The icing on the proverbial cake, however, was what passed as the hellish thing's face. It was as though her mind blurred the ghastly visage to spare itself further from shock and horror. She shoved herself away from the door with the hand still pressed against it. The scalding mug of coffee fell, the liquid burning her bare legs as she fell backwards and tried to crawl away from the door. She knew, somehow, that her mind hadn't been playing tricks on her. As she crab-walked away from the door, she watched as tendrils as black as the void she first saw snake around through the cracks. The girl was trapped between the instinct to flee and the gut feeling to not turn her back on the door. When the door jolted, the urge to flee overcame her, and she slipped in the burning liquid as she tried to make it back to her room. She knew, deep down, that she was trapping herself in a corner, but she had to get away from the door. The girl was halfway down the hallway when she heard the previously locked door creak open. She screamed and slipped into a wall, cracking her chin on it and stunning her. After that, there was only blackness. "Nicole?" A warm, male voice snapped the woman out of her trance. As she turned around, she was met by one of her sister's doctors. She nodded, not sure if she should say anything, or even if she could find her voice if she did have something to say. That morning, she had gotten an urgent phone call from the hospital saying that her sister Lindsay was there. Before they had even let her see her, the doctors had pulled her off to the side and insisted that they talk to her about what might have happened. Phrases like self-inflicted and assault had been thrown around, and Nicole felt her mind reel. She still hadn't fully understood what they had been saying until she saw Lindsay with her own eyes. Her little sister had a bandage wrapped around her head, covering both of her ears as well as her eyes. They said it was to keep her now deadened eyes from drying out and to try to keep infection out of the wounds Lindsay had made to her ears. The doctors had suggested that either she or someone else had jammed a pencil into them to keep her off balance or to deafen herself against something. There was a mixture of first and second degree burns on her hands, legs, and feet from what was assumed to be the coffee her neighbors found spilled all over the entry to her apartment. As Nicole walked into her sister's hospital room for the first time, she thought she had spied the silhouette of a man in the window. That, she knew, was impossible. Her sister's room was on the 3rd story of the hospital. So that was the Slenderman creepypasta, and I think it was really good. So like I said, just about everyone knows Slenderman. He was created and submitted by a user named Victor Surge on the Something Awful forums as part of a Photoshop contest and featured on the Marble Hornets channel in a web series. So there's not really one definitive backstory for him, but there are established traits that he has, which is not having a face, wearing a suit, and stalking/kidnapping children. Anyway, this story starts off with something pretty relatable, which is waking up in the middle of the night and going downstairs to get a drink, and in this case, a cup of coffee. Lindsay goes downstairs and begins to make herself a cup of coffee, but feels a chill down her spine as she walks past the front door. After getting her coffee, she decides to look through the peephole in the front door to calm her mind, and that's when she sees it. An awkwardly tall man in a suit with no face and several arms like the branches of a tree. She falls backwards, spilling coffee on herself, and runs away as the darkness seeps under the front door. Lindsay then slips into a wall, cracking her chin, and presumably passes out. We then cut to Nicole, who was at the hospital after receiving a call about her sister. The doctors claim that the wounds Lindsay had were self-inflicted, and we find out that she's now blind and possibly deaf with bandages wrapped around her head. As Nicole walks into her sister's hospital room, she thought she saw the silhouette of a man in the window, which was impossible since they were on the 3rd floor of the hospital. I really like the story, and I don't think there's really anything I would change about it since it stays pretty realistic, and we're left to make our own assumptions about what the Slenderman did to Lindsay. He definitely blinded her by making her look directly at his empty face, but I do wonder if she was the one who shoved the pencils in her ears, or if it was him. Anyways, I'd give this creepypasta 10 out of 10. Write your opinions down in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one.